Mercan. Ama senin için çok endişelendim.
Nezir'in gözü dönmüş. Ne yapacağı belli olmaz.
At that moment, everything was about to change in a way no one could have imagined. A truth that had been buried for years had finally come to light, and now, nothing inside that mansion would ever be the same again. Because when secrets like this are revealed, they don't just hurt people, they destroy lives. After it was revealed that Murat's real mother was Miran, the atmosphere inside the house completely shifted. Every relationship, every memory, every emotion suddenly felt different. It was daytime. Ateş and Mercan were sitting quietly in the gazebo, trying to process everything that had happened. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was heavy. They started talking about Haydar, about what he had done, and how his actions had shaped all their lives. But Mercan had something else on her mind. Something deeper. Something personal. She looked at Ateş and asked softly, "Do you think I could also be someone else's daughter?" Ateş smiled gently, trying to lighten the moment. "I wish that were true," he said. But behind that smile, there was concern. Because Mercan wasn't just asking a question. She was searching for something. Identity. Belonging. Love. What do you think? Was Mercan just being emotional, or is there another hidden truth waiting to be revealed? A few minutes later, Simul was about to leave the mansion when he ran into Demet in the garden. Demet had come to see Mercan, but Simul, he was cold, distant, because no matter how much he cared, he couldn't ignore one thing. Demet had helped Nizar, and that changed everything. Demet noticed his attitude immediately. "I never treated you like this," she said. "I trusted you. I never questioned you." Simul took a deep breath. "I was in your place not long ago," he said calmly. "I understand you, but I think it's better if I stay away from you because you're stuck between me and your brother." That hurt, more than Demet expected. "It's not what you think," she said. "You should be by my side." And now the question is, who is right here? Simul for protecting himself? Or Demet for holding on despite everything? Sometimes is it better to walk away before things get worse, or fight for something that hasn't even fully begun? Meanwhile, Ateş and Mercan continued their conversation in the gazebo. Mercan's earlier questions still lingered in the air. Was it just emotion? Or intuition? Then suddenly Mercan said something unexpected. Aslı should come back to the mansion. Miran needs her. Ateş's expression changed instantly. "No, that's not happening." His tone was firm, sharp. But before the conversation could continue, Demet arrived. And just like that, the moment was interrupted. Ateş stepped away, leaving the two women alone. But Demet didn't come on her own. Mercan had invited her. And Demet felt uncomfortable. "Don't ever think I'll leave you alone," Mercan said. "I need you. And there's something you don't know." Then she started telling Demet everything about Miran. At the same time, Ateş met Simul in his office. "No news about Nizar," Simul said. Ateş sighed. "We don't have just one problem, we have many." Then they started talking about Murat. If Murat had never been taken by Haydar, Ateş said, none of this would have happened. That one sentence carried so much weight, because everything, every tragedy, every revenge plan, traced back to the past. Miran had raised Ateş and Simul with revenge in her heart. Her husband Ahmet had been Haydar's partner and part of illegal dealings. So now the real question becomes, was Miran a victim or part of the darkness all along? Ateş then mentioned Mercan's idea about Aslı returning. Simul agreed, but reluctantly. He clearly didn't trust Aslı, and maybe there was still something deeper inside him. Old feelings, unfinished emotions. Do you think Simul has truly moved on from Aslı, or is his heart still holding on to the past? Meanwhile, Nizar was still hiding. His man told him everything was ready for their escape that night. But Nizar refused, because running away wasn't his goal. His goal was clear. Ateş and Mercan. He wasn't done. Not even close. Night fell. And just when things seemed calm again, Aslı returned to the mansion. When Ateş saw her, his warning was clear. You're here because of Mercan. If it were up to me, you'd be in jail. Don't make a mistake or you're out. At that moment, Miran entered. Mother and daughter embraced. But that hug wasn't just emotional. It was complicated. Hours later, Miran was asleep in her room. The door slowly opened. Mercan walked in silently. She placed a childhood photo of Murat on the nightstand and left. A few seconds later, the door sound woke Miran. She saw the photo, and everything inside her broke. She grabbed it, held it close, and cried uncontrollably. Mercan had done something powerful, something that touched the deepest part of her pain. But not everyone saw it that way. When Mercan returned, Ateş reacted, because Aslı was in the house. From now on, he said, don't go anywhere without telling me. Mercan smiled. You're exaggerating, she said. But Ateş wasn't exaggerating. He was being careful. Do you think Mercan understands the danger, or is she underestimating it? Trying to lighten the moment, Mercan joked, flexing her arm. See this? No one can hurt me. Ateş smiled. Then suddenly, he picked her up, threw her gently onto the bed, climbed over her, and said, let's see your strength. Mercan leaned close to his ear and whispered softly. In that moment, everything changed. Ateş lost focus. And Mercan flipped the situation. You lost, she said with a smile. The next morning, Mercan woke up early and started getting ready. Ateş woke up a few minutes later and noticed she was gone. He got up immediately, worried. But what he saw made him smile. Mercan was arguing with her skirt zipper. Yes, I'm talking to you, she said angrily. Ateş laughed. You even argue with a zipper? I argue with anything that annoys me, she replied. He helped her zip it up. My hero, she said, kissing him. I'll make you breakfast, she added, leaving the room. At the same time, Simul was in the second kitchen. He had invited Demet. It looked like an apology breakfast. He even brought sushi for breakfast. But things got awkward quickly. I don't eat sushi in the morning, Demet said. So Simul made an omelet instead. Despite everything, they couldn't stay away from each other. The tension between them was no longer just friendship. Meanwhile, in the main kitchen, Mercan was also making an omelet. She was happy, relaxed, even singing. And then everything shifted. At the doorway, Aslı stood silently, watching, her expression dark. There was a knife on the table. Aslı slowly walked forward. Mercan didn't notice. Step by step, Aslı got closer, closer, until she was right behind her, the knife in her hand. One move, that's all it would take. So tell me, do you think Aslı has the courage to do it? Or is something else about to stop her? Because one thing is certain, what happens next will change everything. Fire.